Hello there, Maverick Currency traders. This is Rob Reinhold. It is another weekend. Welcome to the Currency Room. Take a look at that date. We are into the end part of the year, so we got a couple more pips to grab by the end of the year. Then we'll close up the year of 2024 with a bow. And then the thing I love best about the turn of every year, the slate is wiped clean. The market does not care how well you did or how poorly you did. It's a new year, new pip count. So let's go ahead and get started. In this session, we're going to be talking about the news of the week. We'll take a look at the broad markets. We'll take a look at some of the sectors. And then, as always, we score everything from +3 to a -3, and we pair up the strongest against the weakest, and that's where we hunt for the week.
Disclaimer. This video was created for professional Forex and crypto traders. Maverick Currencies is a proprietary trading firm that employs professional traders around the world. Our traders trade firm capital and keep 70 to 80% of profits they generate. All trades and analysis in this video are for professional traders only. If you are interested in becoming a professional Forex and currency trader for Maverick, click the apply button in the video description. Let's get ready for next week.
All right, let's start with equities. Equities remain strong, so I believe that like the S&P has been up like 11 out of 12 days. We've had a very, very strong run ever since the pullback after the presidential election in the U.S. Very, very strong equities. And look, everything's been strong across the board. We saw a monumental breakout of 100,000 from Bitcoin. It got all the way up to 104,000. So it did exactly what I expected it to do. If you listened to my video on Tuesday, I said we fully expected to break 100,000. We've seen lots of these milestones. And what happens? They break. There's a surge of energy and a surge of elation, and everyone's slapping high fives. And then after that, everyone's like, okay, what next? And it typically falls from that point. So that's what happened. It's now under 100,000 at the end of the week, but it still had a very nice week, and it pulled up all the cryptos around it. One of the big things that happened was there was a new SEC chairman that is going to be coming in with the new president that is going to be very friendly to crypto. So that's really helping the crypto markets move higher. And then we did see the French government collapse. There was a no confidence vote on the current administration, so it looks like there's going to be new elections coming up in France. Taking a look at the economic calendar, we didn't have a ton on the calendar, but we did have some notable things. We had some manufacturing numbers out of the U.S. You can see manufacturing on Monday, it was bigger than expected, but then we got the services PMI number on Wednesday that was worse than expected. The services number is 2/3 of all the manufacturing. And so this was a much bigger deal, showing a little bit of weakness. But if we take a look at the other U.S. data, we had a good JOLTS job number. And then take a look at the U.S. payrolls report. 227,000 jobs created. That's a very, very positive number. Now, granted, we had a very low number last month. I talked about this, that's likely due to the hurricanes. So we just simply had a rebound. The true average of the 2 months is more around 130,000, which has really been about what we've seen. We got a little bit higher earnings, a little bit higher unemployment rate. The Fed's not going to care about that. The other employment report we got was the Canadian employment report. The new jobs created was great, but the unemployment rate jumped unexpectedly by 0.2%. The other report I want to point out was the Australian inflation number, the GDP number. And you can see it was a big miss. It was a big miss. The Aussie was the weakest of the Forex currencies for this week. So let's go in and take a look at all the numbers of last week, and then we'll take a look ahead to the next week. Looking at the equities. Equities were up about 0.8%. That's not a great week, but that's a solid week, especially after the kind of run we've had. Take a look at crypto, up 10.75% as a basket. Gold and oil took a little break, but they've been strong recently too. So we've had this massive bull market that has pretty much been pulling up all assets across the board. And take a look at this run. This run in equities is huge. And if you listen to my Tuesday video, I think this was Tuesday. And I talked about how we should have pulled back here, could have pulled back here, and we didn't. And what happens is when you get these markets to grind higher, typically at the end of them, you get this huge blow off top. And then when you get the pullback. this wasn't quite the day. This is not one of those blow off top days. It didn't come with big volume. And so looking at this, I'm looking like this is still wanting to go higher. Now, yes, we got a little red candle here. We got a little gravestone doji here. That's not telling me that like we're going to have these big red candles to the downside. Just not what it's telling me. I still think we have one of those big candles to the upside. I still think that's what we're going to get. It's one of those big candles to the upside. So for me, yes, we could get a pullback. And if we do get a big red candle, let's say we get a big green candle on Monday, then I think we pull back for the rest of the week. The most likely thing to happen here technically is we are reaching certain levels of some resistance. We should get some pullback here. I think we get a little pop before we do. Taking a look at the movement inside the Forex, it was pretty easy. There was two trades here. There was short Aussie Kiwi, and there was long everything else. The CAD was in the middle, but look, the CAD was up all week until a week number on Friday. But the numbers weren't huge. So this was an okay trading week, wasn't a great week. And really, the European currencies and the dollar yen were all good. Here's a question. Is this going to change this week? We have 4 central banks meeting this week. We'll go through those. But this is the trade. Is this going to be the board for next week? Are Aussie and Kiwi going to stay weak? And the European and the US dollar and yen stay strong? Or is there going to be a flip of that? Personally, I think we're going to see some continued weakness in the Aussie and Kiwi. Coming over here to the crypto world, Bitcoin was only up 4.3%. Look, it had a 7% pullback off of its high. So at one point it was up 11%. Big deal. The rest of the crypto space is just rocking. We will definitely be looking at cryptos as potential trades for the week. So when we take a look at our scoring system, we are at a +3 in equities. We are really going well. So again, this is a risk on market. And if we take a look at the interest rates, this is the US 10-year yield. We have completely collapsed from this 440 area all the way down into this 415 area. That is so bullish for everything. And again, we'll take a look at this at the dollar and how it's correlated with this. This has come down, but the dollar it's come down, but not as much. The dollar is definitely outperforming the bond market yields. And look at this chart in crypto. It's just one way. This has been a one-way trade. That's it. And every single pullback should be bought. Every pullback should be bought. Yes, I know at one point that will end. And at the end is probably sooner than later because we've had a big run. But it's still the trade. It's still the trade to buy pullbacks until that trade fails. So again, we'll be taking a look at the crypto market. And I talked about 4 central banks. 4 central banks. RBA on Monday. We've got Bank of Canada on Wednesday. We got the SNB, Swiss Bank, and the ECB on Thursday. So huge news when it comes to central banks. The Aussie, the RBA is supposed to leave rates. Everyone else is supposed to be cutting rates either by 50 basis points or by 25 basis points. Outside of central banks, there's really only 2 reports. The CPI number from the US. So we got CPI on Wednesday, and then we've got GDP from the UK on Friday. This week is all about central banks. So look, if you're trading Aussie, if you're trading the CAD, if you're trading really anything, you've got to understand that we have lots of central bank news coming out. So be on your toes and understand that a lot of volatility comes around these reports. If you don't want to deal with the volatility, then get in after the reports. So there's lots of ways that you can trade even on a week like this where there's lots and lots of central bank activity. Let's go in and take a look at the currencies one by one and score them from +3 to -3, and that's going to tell us where to hunt. Would having more trading capital help you meet your trading goals? Maverick Currencies is the oldest US-based Forex and crypto prop firm. We fund traders just like you with 5- and 6-figure accounts where you keep 70 to 80% of profits. Click the apply link on the top right of this video to start the process. This will take you to a 4-minute video that explains the trader position, and you can read a list of FAQs that answer pretty much all the basic questions you have. After that, if you're interested, fill out an application, and then you'll watch the full-length recruiting video and schedule an interview with our recruiters. Are you our next trader? Start out with the cryptos. Now look, cryptos are just bullish across the board. So now it's just a matter of finding which one is the best. They're all great. They're all trending at a +3. So the question is, which one is the best? Take a look at Bitcoin, and you can see that, yes, we got this spike up here, breaking out above 100,000, but take a look at how long we've based. Take a look at how long we've based. This thing should still have some energy left after basing for almost a full month. The question is Bitcoin the best one right now? So we take a look at the trend. The trend looks great. High base breakout. We love that pattern. We come down here to the velocity score. And okay, we just had this big pullback. Again, this is a pullback I talked about, 104 all the way down to 92. Hold on to your hats, folks. That's a 12% pullback in a day. But you can see pullbacks should be bought. They just should be bought. The question is Bitcoin the best one? Let's go take a look at the rest. Bitcoin Cash has got more momentum right now. So there's no question there's more momentum right now in Bitcoin Cash. We take a look, and it based for a couple weeks and then broke out. It's further along on its breakout, but it has more momentum right now. So this is a better trade than Bitcoin at the moment. It may not be later in the week, but at the moment there's lots of momentum. Ethereum has got a lot of momentum. We just based here for about 7 or 8 days, and now we're breaking out, and we got all the velocity. So Ethereum is a better trade as well. And then we have Litecoin, and I think Litecoin is a little bit further along than everything else. It had its breakout, it broke out, and you can see we're basing. Now look, this is a perfectly fine trade. It doesn't have the velocity right now, but it is building the velocity. So if I had to make a trade right now, it would be in Bitcoin Cash or Ethereum because the velocity is there right now. If I'm waiting to get into a trade next week, looking at Monday, Tuesday, this one I like because it's building the energy. It's building the momentum for a breakout to the upside. So for me, I'm actually going to be looking mostly at Litecoin next week for that breakout to the upside. In the Forex market, I think there's just one question. Do the Aussie and Kiwi stay weak? And if that's the case, then that's going to be the trade. It's going to be short Aussie Kiwi. Yes, we have to go figure out what to go long, but look at this. Look at this chart. You could have picked any of the five. Any of the five would have been just perfectly fine trades. Yes, there was a few that were a little bit better than the other, but as long as you got the trade of short Aussie and Kiwi, and then you paired it up against anything else, that was a good trade. That was a good trade. So I'm going to go through everything, and we're going to score everything to see what is the best, but I think the big question is, do they continue to fall? So let's jump into the charts here. First off, I'm going to be taking a look at the dollar. All right, is the dollar the best looking long here? Not really. We are holding above this level, and we are down near the bottom of the level. I do like buying at the bottom of the base, but is there any velocity at the moment? Not seeing a ton of velocity, even though we are approaching the top of this little short-term range here. Could there be a little breakout? Yes, but we've got lots of overhead resistance up ahead. Is there something better? Coming over here to the yen. All of a sudden the yen is like, yes, there is something better. This is my favorite chart pattern. We got a little bit of a pullback within a base. You can see a little bit of a pullback within a base. This is a strong currency. I'm just waiting for this thing to break out of that base. So for me, yen is absolutely on the top of the list. Swiss franc was like a -2 last week. This week it's a +2. Whenever I see that, I say, no thank you. I'm looking for a predictable trend. This is not a predictable trend. When just 3 days ago, you would have been short it, and now you're going to flip long on it. The whole time, it's never really broken out of anything. No thanks. I am totally disinterested in Swiss franc. Euro. There's some positive things you can say about the euro. The first positive thing was it didn't break to a new low. Okay, so it's not the worst chart in the world. But look, we've had this rally, and this rally is just taking us into resistance territory. If the euro fails here, then I'm liking euro on a short. But since it's still going to the upside, it still has momentum to the upside, that's going to be a trade for later in the week for me. So again, totally disinterested in Swiss franc. I will check back in on euro for a short later in the week. I'm going to say the same thing about the pound that I said about the Swiss franc. 3 days ago, I would have shorted it. Today, maybe go long. The whole time, not really doing anything. No thanks. I will just check back in on this one when it's doing something. Coming here to the CAD. Now, the CAD had every ability, every possibility to bounce when it came down into the support level. And you can see it did not, and it failed. So you have to go from a 0 to a -2 here on CAD. And it is starting to get some momentum to it. You can see we had a low base here for about 8 days, and now we're breaking below that low base. If you want to put CAD on your short list, you absolutely can put it on your short list. But again, we have Bank of Canada next week. We also have RBA next week on Monday. This one has broken. You can see it's had some momentum to the downside. With RBA coming up, I'm really only interested in shorting this again well after the RBA has announced. So maybe if there's a bounce, back up to, this area of resistance and it fails, maybe. But again, I'm looking for easier trades. Where are the easier trades this week? Canadian dollar, we got Bank of Canada we got to deal with. RBA, Aussie, we got the RBA to deal with. Oh, there is no RBNZ report this week, and we've got a currency that just broke a support. A descending triangle pattern here. Everything's looking good on this one. So there is no question where the easier trade is this week, and that's going to be short Kiwi. If we take a look at our trend scores, this is the kind of market we love. Remember, like a couple months ago, everything was in here. And we said, hey, this is not a great trading environment because things aren't trending. We are starting to see really good trends, and there's really everything is trending at the moment to the upside and the downside. So if we take a look at what is moving right now, what's really moving with momentum to the downside, well, you've got these three. Two of them have central banks coming up. You've got these three cryptos. They're looking really good. Ironically, I'm more interested in this Litecoin as it is high basing. But take a look. All of these are going up. As I said earlier, the trade was simply short Aussie Kiwi last week and be long against it with anything else, and it was a good week for you. The question is that going to continue? I think the CAD and the Aussie, it's going to be a tough trade because of their central banks. So I'm really laser focused here on cryptos and Kiwi short. So let's take that information in. Let's go take a look at some charts and find some possible trading setups. I talked about how I was the most interested in Litecoin. So I'm going to be taking a look at Litecoin. I love this pattern. This pattern is called a high and tight base, where you have a big run and it refuses to go down. And actually, it's been working its way up. I mean, just think of this huge move from 100 to 137. That's a 37% move. And there's no sellers. Now, there is just a little bit of tiredness. They're tired. They just moved 37%. They got to take a break. Once that break is over, I'm telling you, I like this thing to the upside. And if you take a look at where it is right here, right now, we did have this little breakout, two new highs to 145, and this is a really nice pullback right into an area of support. I'm looking at this, and this is a good-looking setup. Just made a new swing high, just pulled back. We just have our confirmation candle. For me, 137-ish is just, you could go now, you could wait. I like this trade quite a bit. Stop maybe back under here at the 129 area. We could zoom in a little bit closer to get that, but you would definitely want to be out if this area on this doji is broken. So for me, Litecoin looks great. Litecoin is on the top of my list in the crypto world. Now, in the world of Forex, on the top of my list is yen. Yen is my favorite long going into the week. And think about where we are. The yen traditionally does not go up when equity markets go up. It's negatively correlated, but it's going up with them. So imagine if we do get a little bit of a pullback in equities. Could there be even more of a bid to the yen? And I think there could be. So I'm looking at next week thinking, hey, there could be a moderate pullback. Maybe we get a little blow off top early in the week and then pull back. I think that's only going to help yen. So my number one Forex trade this week is Kiwi yen, because Kiwi is my favorite short when you take a look at the currencies. If you take a look at where we are on a daily chart in Kiwi yen, you can see that we've just broken down below this 88 support. Our next level is going to be all the way down to about 86.25. Let's zoom in there. All right, our next levels. All right, so 86.30. 86.30, we're at 87.45. That is 110 pips away on an 87-cent currency. That's like 1.4%. There's a lot of meat on this bone, just down to this next level. If you want to go even further out, I mean, that is a huge move to the downside. So for me, Kiwi yen, I like it on the daily. So the only question is, where's our entry? Where's our timing? And you can see the timing is pretty much here. Pretty much here. If you are going to wait until next week, which is just fine. I don't trade on Sundays typically, and I'm not looking to trade on Sunday this week. So for me, my hope is that we bounce back up into this area. And again, the area is going to be the 87.50 area. I want to see, it can go down, but I want to see it bounce back up into this area. That to me is going to be time to take a short. So 87.50, would love to get in there. Now look, we might base here, and if we base, then I'm looking to get in when it breaks down below the base. As it gets closer to this 86.30, all of a sudden the trade doesn't become as good. But Kiwi yen looks good. The other one I want to take a look at is Aussie. There's a lot of pressure on Aussie right now, a lot of pressure, and let's take a look at this for the RBA coming out on Monday night. I already looked at stuff against the yen. Obviously, Aussie yen would be my favorite one. But as far as what is my favorite long outside of yen, it's dollar. So let's take a look at Aussie dollar. And you'll see it's going to be fairly similar to Aussie yen. But look, we've had this month-long base. Where we've just hung out. We've broken below that. The question asked is, where is the next level? You can see we're at major support in here, but if we break through that level, we're coming down to the 62.90 area. 62.90, that's about 100 pips away on a 63 cent. That's like 1.6%. I mean, that's a big move in currencies. So I like the daily chart. Looking at the 4-hour chart, where is the entry here? We just had that big candle down. Hey, let's let this thing bounce back up. Come back up into the 64 area. That'd be a great little bounce. And if we fail at this level, if we start to fail and we start to see some candles, that would be a nice entry point, looking all the way down to that support level, which was, I forgot where it was. I didn't draw the line. 62.90. 62.90 all the way down here. These are the two trades I really like in the Forex market. So I do think there is going to be some continued selling in the Aussie and Kiwi, and I do like them on any bounces. So pretty simple. The play this week is cryptos long off of pullbacks and high bases, and shorts off of Kiwi and Aussie. That is it for the Currency Room. Thanks for joining me. Everyone have a great weekend. Goodbye, everyone.